This is Lockheed's California Division, senior member of the Lockheed family, birthplace of an always exciting family of wings.
Lockheed was working on a number of saucer designs for the U.S. Air Force.
They all have a central engine that would point downward, and the aircraft would take off straight up, transition into horizontal flight, accelerate to very high speed, and then fly at over 100,000 feet. And this was very advanced thinking for the time.
The Lockheed engineers were working on a saucer which used a central jet driving a rotor to create the Coanda, or flying saucer effect. Once airborne, it redirected its jet to travel horizontally at supersonic speeds. But Lockheed wasn't the only US corporation working on this technology.
Convair was one of the other major aircraft companies in the 1950s and 60s.
Like Lockheed, Convair had both secret projects and a public face. In this case, Hollywood star James Stewart.
Well, that was quite a day I had there. Believe me, that's quite an airplane.
In the 50s and 60s, Bob Widmar was a senior designer for Convair and a key member of the team which built the B-58 Hustler. In the early 60s, it was the fastest plane on Earth.
Well, that really got me excited. After all, the bird flies Mach 2. Now, Mach 2, that's 2 times as fast as the speed of sound.
But Bob Widmar didn't just design jet aircraft. In the late 50s, he was given a stunning new brief to design an aircraft which was invisible. Invisible, at least, to radar.
You had to be able to be non-detectable 360 degrees, because even at that time, the Russian radars began being hooked up together. The only way that could really be solved is by coming up with a thing that was shaped like a disc, or a discus.
In other words, Bob had to build a flying saucer because the military had realized that a flying saucer would make a perfect stealth craft. Conventional planes are detectable by radar because surfaces at right angles to a radar beam reflect back. A disc or flying saucer, on the other hand, sends back diffuse and confusing signals. The prospect of a radar-invisible aircraft had caused great excitement in military circles, and one day some shadowy figures called on Bob.
When they first came in, I didn't know who they were. They didn't tell me, hey, I'm coming in here from the CIA. Hey, look at my badge.
Oh, they made me a member of the club.
I didn't know that was the CIA that came. That shows you how goddamn secret that they were.
In fact, the CIA was being even more mysterious than usual, because they weren't just fighting America's enemies, they'd been fighting each other. A secret turf war with the US Air Force over who should run spy planes.
They cheat, they lie, they're crooks, they disguise. To meet with them, for example, I'd have to go to buildings that were half finished in Washington. Airline reservations were made with fake names. It was hard on me and my wife, as such, to live this thing, and all the thing was a whole bunch of fake stuff. It was almost where you couldn't tell the realism for what was just a phony.
Bob reluctantly agreed to work on the project, the design of a radar-invisible, saucer-shaped object.
I never would want to do it again, to have to live under that kind of a climate. You couldn't talk to anybody except at certain places that they selected.
The project was so highly classified it was not supposed to exist, a condition of absolute deniability known as a black project.
There's all kinds of black. I'm talking about the extreme black. I have lived through the extreme black.
Bob's project has never been declassified, and the CIA removed all his records and designs.
Well, I guess that just about sums up the story.
Or does it? Because while the CIA was keeping Bob in the dark, another craft was being brought into the light. In 1961, the world was shown what its builders claimed was the first real flying saucer, invented by this man, John Frost.
Well, the U.S. Army are interested in a vehicle which could fly close to the ground, which couldn't be stopped by roadblocks or rivers, etc., and which could jump over hedges and trees.
There were, however, real problems with the Avro car, as Doug Garland, one of the wind tunnel engineers, remembers.
We tested the Avro car in the tunnel, but it was very unstable. You know, if you throw a plate or a hubcap on the ground, it will tend to roll around like this. And the Avro car had a tendency to do that.
In fact, when the Avro car was first revealed to the public, the whole project had actually already been abandoned. In truth, the Avro car was not a flying saucer at all. It was actually the world's first hovercraft. It was also the almost accidental byproduct of a very secret and far more ambitious project, a project which had everything to do with flying saucers.
Quick question, do you believe in flying saucers?
Not in the sense that people believe they come from Mars and places like that, no.
John Frost didn't believe in flying saucers from Mars, but he did believe in flying saucers because secretly he was building one. This film has never been seen by the public before. Made strictly for the eyes of security-cleared military personnel, it records the work of Avro's top-secret Special Projects team, led by John Frost.
The 6 Viper engine test assembly was built by Avro Aircraft Limited to develop a power plant for an airplane of circular plan form. It consists of a basic airframe of 6 sections, excluding the outer wing, operator's cab, air intake roofs, and the flying controls.
Frost was building a huge jet-powered supersonic flying saucer, codenamed Project Y2 or Weapons System 606A. And it, too, utilized German saucer technology.
John Frost was aware of wartime research that the Germans had carried out in flying saucer developments that were possibly the basis of what he saw all across the world as the real flying saucers in the sky. And that almost came at a time when the CIA was funding some research into a design concept much like the flying saucer he had in mind.
The US military was excited by the vision that Frost presented. These original secret project specs for the saucer showed it could fly higher and faster than any craft or weapon system then available. The military enthusiastically pumped huge quantities of money into his project.
The Special Projects Group then became an entity unto itself. It was given a place in the flight test area and now began to work on what in fact Frost had started to look at as the ideal shape, a completely flying circular disc.
I had no idea that there was such a thing as the Special Projects Group, because it was very classified, top secret and all that.